Coach Chaos, Cory.
What's up, brother?
Welcome to fucking real, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Man, so what, we were having a coffee Friday last week.
It was, yes, Friday last week.
We rang up Nathan and said, what are you doing Monday? We're going to do a potty.
And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Some might say, or here we aren't. No.
Yeah. What are we in for though, bro? I feel like this is going to be an exciting podcast.
Well, it's either going to be real good or real bad.
Yeah, true.
You know?
Well, look, man, before we dive into you, because I normally don't have questions. I normally come in here, like I said to you, I freestyle.
Yeah.
So today I've got questions.
Oh, I like it.
I haven't told you this,
you
bro.
prepped for fucking chaos, did you?
We got new things going on the podcast this week. And, bro, this is another new thing I want to try with you, bro, because you're good at talking, bro. And this podcast, I want you to tell everyone on camera, we look into this camera over here, brother, and just tell everyone to subscribe to the channel and show their support and love towards fucking real.
Of course. This is a chaos endorsement right now. I'd love if you resonate with anything that's said on this podcast from my boy D or any of the guests, probably myself. I'd urge you to subscribe, like, follow, share, and give this podcast to one of your friends that you think would benefit. Because I can tell you right now, someone's going to benefit.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, brother. Yeah, it's all love.
It's all love.
Yeah, bro. So, yeah, man, we were having good yarns last week, bro. We were talking pretty deep about relationships. I don't know, man. Like, I've got a few questions for you, but how the fuck did you get here to Perth, bro? What's the story, man?
It's always a bit of a discussion, especially when I meet new people and whatnot. So, and I like sharing this story. In fact, how it all kind of unfolded, from my perspective at least, was I was sort of a little bit willy-nilly back in New Zealand. If you haven't already figured out, I'm from New Zealand.
Because of your colour?
Because of my beautiful complexion.
Or the accent.
Yeah, or the accent.
Yeah, or all of the above.
Or, the tattoos. And I'm just super good looking too.
Yeah, true.
That's very innately Kiwi, No.
All good looking people come from
New Zealand, they were born there.
Yeah.
And then they all leave to come to Australia. No.
For the money.
Yeah, but for the money.
Yeah.
No. And I was, as I was saying, I was a bit willy-nilly back in New Zealand, kind of coasting, if you like. A little bit unsure of what I wanted to do. Actually, let me rephrase it. Not unsure of what I wanted to do, more so unaware of how I would do it, I guess you could say. I was going through a bit of a breakup at the time as well. Probably the hardest one I've gone through, I'd say. So that... And I'm sure this happens to most people as well. You sort of lose yourself a little bit in breakups, and you kind of start fabricating stories in your head about why it didn't work and what kind of person you are and who are you, and all these sort of questions sort of rise to the surface. And I definitely let them seep in there for some time before I really kind of did something about it. And then the day sort of came when I realised my friends back home, actually, I was isolating myself, you see, and my friends back home started to notice this, worried about me quite a fair bit, and arrived at my house to basically pull me out of my own head.
Yeah, right.
So I think if it weren't for them, I might have taken a little bit longer to get to a point where I would start to look at how I'm going to rebuild myself and get back on the trajectory that I know that I'm on, especially now.
Because in those moments, bro, and I talk about this a lot as well, it's like, even with the resources I have in mental health and the people I've podcast on this podcast, and the friends and, the beautiful people like from the gym and that, when you're in a headspace, like a dark place, we'll call it, mental health, fucking sometimes it's hard to navigate out of it, bro. Regardless of who you know or fucking what access to mental health.
Exactly it. You sort of think, well, I've done all this work, so how am I here again?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you have to practice these things.
Yeah.
You have to practice the things that you're working on, and you can't practice them unless you're in the situations. right? So God forbid you don't want to have all the breakups in the world to go through all these practices, right? But looking back on them, every breakup was bad at the time. It was the worst thing in the world. And then you have the next one, and that one seems like not so bad. And then that's the worst one in the world. And then you have another breakup, and then that one seems not that bad.
Yeah.
And you know, your needle moves, right? And then the way you come out of them and navigate them just get quicker and quicker, or you use different sort of tools to get out of that. But you're still in it.
Yeah.
You know, there's no breakup and then you're like, oh, well, I've done all this work, so I don't actually care. I'm all good. Like, that's not the reality of it at all.
Yeah, well, new levels, new devils.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You know? And I think about this a fair bit because I'm like, you know, I thought I was in love that time. And then I meet someone else, and now I think I'm in love there. And then I meet someone else, and it's more intense this time. And I'm like, fuck, I mustn't have loved those other ones. And now it's just your love for yourself, I think, evolves. So then the love that you feel for other people is also different. So it becomes harder and harder and harder and harder.
And this has all led you to this point of
That's exactly right.
getting over here, bro.
Yeah. So I think, and this has been a theme over the last few weeks in conversation as well, I think my biggest hurdle, I suppose, was always the battle of like, am I a good man, you know? And then the more I look back at all these relationships and the struggles and such within those relationships, I credit everything about being a good man now to women, you know, to not even to some degree. I think everything that I know about being a good man, I learned from a woman.
I've got a lot to teach if we listen.
Yeah. And so now I'm just really grateful that I've had those experiences with those women, and those women in particular, because if they were anyone else, I would have had different experiences and probably led down different roads and such, you know. But that was ultimately why I decided to sort of look at another way. Always felt a little bit out of place back home in New Zealand anyway, so it wasn't too far-fetched for me to look beyond the borders of New Zealand.
What was making you feel uncomfortable back there, bro?
Yeah, I don't know
Sorry
if I can
take you off path. But yeah.
I don't know how to pinpoint, you know, in what aspects. It was more of a internal feeling, you know. You sort of, and this is not to say I didn't have great friends, because I did, you know, I do. Back home, I've got really great friends, you know, and they never made me feel like I wasn't out of place, and they're always reassuring me, and they're always, you know, giving me affirmations of that I'm a good friend to them, or even when I wasn't, you know. But it was like a feeling inside. I just
like a story you're telling yourself.
Yeah, and I just sort of sat there often from childbirth, you know, from not childbirth, from when I was very young, growing up as a teenager as well, and I was always kind of doing things to fit in. Even though I didn't really need to do that. Like, people were drawn to me either way. That sounds arrogant, but it's true. Like, you know, and for some reason I felt like I had to be all these things for people to like me, when it just wasn't really the case. And so I think because I conditioned myself to do that, I almost outcasted myself, you know, in a lot of ways. Because now I'm like, oh, well, who even are you? You know, I don't know who I am around anyone here, because I've tried to be so many things.
True.
You know what I mean? So it was almost like I felt like I needed to be somewhere else to figure out who exactly that I am, and be that from the start around people that don't know who I used to be, if that makes sense, you know. Yeah. And that was kind of the thought process to begin with. And then I'm searching online a bit willy-nilly, no real sort of goal of where I wanted to go. I was actually going to go to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my best friend was like, why don't we look at Perth? And I was kind of like, you know, I did not real excited about it. Yeah. But I thought, well, fuck, if she's coming, and maybe I'll just have a look as well, you know. Started having a look, scrolling on Seek, you know, no real prompt in the search bar there. I was just kind of scrolling around the fitness industry, around, I was even looking at like going back into bars and stuff, you know, which is not what I wanted to do at all. Scrolling, and I saw a sign that said, Good Vibes Boxing, and I was like, man, Good Vibes Boxing. Well, fuck, I like good vibes and I like boxing, you know. So I'm just gonna send an email, and I thought to myself, well, I'm in New Zealand, so I've obviously got to put that in there, mention in my cover letter, you know, look, I am still in New Zealand, open to moving for the right opportunity. You know, here's sort of my background. And for whatever reason, I just felt like I could be my full, truest self in that cover letter, you know, and be completely honest, speak from the heart. And it was received really well, obviously, you know, Ben, you know.
Yeah.
He from his perspective, he read it and he was getting a lot of CVs come through, and he thought to himself, you know, there's something different about this CV. He's shared that with me, so I can say that. But he emailed me straight back, and then I thought, man, this is crazy, you know, straight back. It was sort of within the 5-10 minutes of sending it, so he must have been just at his computer at that very moment also, you know, and he sent back, look, you sound like somebody that we could be looking for, so I'd love to get on a WhatsApp call with you. And I said, yeah, let's do that, right? Replied to him, sent him my WhatsApp number. And he didn't reply for like 2 days, and I was like, man, did I give him the wrong number? You know, fucking, did I say something stupid in my, and I'm reading my reply back over and over again, trying to pick it apart to be like, did I fucking, you know, does this sound like I'm not interested? Like, what's going on here? So I emailed him again, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, what's the worst that can happen? He just fucking says no, you know, or doesn't reply, you know. So I sent him another email and said, hey, man, I don't know if you got
What's your fucking problem?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you know, but I'm from New Zealand. No. And so I sent him another one just to say, look, you know, I'm a little bit worried I might have sent you the wrong number, you know, And then he replied again within the hour at this point. We got on a phone call on a Saturday. And we just vibed on the phone for about 40 minutes. You know, it was just kind of like talking to a long lost friend, you know.
True.
And we just instantly had this connection on the phone. We really related to a lot of life choices that we had. I mean, he's also not from Perth. He'd been kind of a gypsy in his own right, you know, moving
Tassie.
around a lot and within Australia, and then even Bali and whatever else. And I sort of related to that because I was always moving around, you know, particularly when I was going through hard things, I'd always sort of move, you know, and I'll come back to that as well. But he on the phone basically said, look, I don't know if you all fit just yet. I like the conversation we're having on the phone here, but I'm running a men's workshop.
That was for the starting line workshop.
The starting line workshop, literally 6 days from now. Next Sunday, in fact. I'll tell you what, I've got a ticket for you if you come, if you get here. And I said, fuck it, I'll be there. And we talked about this earlier last week, because he said, you know, when you said that, I was like, is this guy for real? Like, I mean, it's a lot of money to get here. I haven't really even offered him anything. Like, you don't know if he's going to fit in. Maybe it's not for him. You know, he's spending all this money. I've sold him the dream. And from my perspective, I didn't even think of any of that. I was just like, you know what? Roll the dice. There's something about it that feels right. You know, and I tell you what, I'm glad I rolled the dice, because the moment I got off the plane in Perth, it was like homecoming.
Yeah,
you know? I got off and there was like an energy there, you know, and I felt like. Well, this is fucking where I'm supposed to be. And then on top of that, and I don't know, so maybe I look into signs a little bit too much sometimes, you know, or sort of try to see things as signs even if they're not. But I got up to customs and my passport was snapped in half, right? And the customs agent was like, pulled me out of the line because it wouldn't go through that little scanny thing. And so now I'm lining up in the criminal line, right? You know,
where you belong.
The criminal line. My bloody arms are out. You know, I've got all these tattoos and stuff, brown. My hat's backwards. You know, so for the rest of the airport, they're like, "Yeah, classic criminal trying to come to the country," and I'm sitting there like, "Fuck, this is embarrassing." You know, there's a lady. She's probably 70 years old next to me, Australian woman. She said to me, "What'd they get you for?" And I was like, "Nah, nothing. My passport snapped in half," and she was like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. And then she goes, well, I'm a criminal. And I was like, well, good for you, kid, you know. And anyway, so I get up to the customs guy, and he's fucking under the microscope looking at my passport and stuff, trying to figure out if it's real. And he's like, you know, you probably won't be able to leave the country with this, eh? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess. I didn't know. are you telling me I have to go home? And he was like, no, I'm telling you, if you want to leave Australia, you're going to need a new passport.
Okay.
And then I said, well, lucky I ain't leaving, you know,
Yeah.
So it was almost like symbolism for me in a lot of ways. That happened, and I thought to myself, well, I fucking can't leave now, so I have to make it work. You know what I mean?
Let's unpack this, bro, because fucking we all get stuck, bro. We all get stuck if it's your job, if it's in a relationship, if it's just you're fucking bored in society or the friends that you're around.
Yeah.
You know, and the answer is always leaning into new uncomfortable situations, bro. It's always the answer, or sitting still. You know, you know, so what, like, fucking hell do you know, bro? Well, you don't know until you know, eh? You know, like, and I think one of the biggest things that we get from your story, bro, is that, like, you don't know until you go and give it a crack. You could always go back home.
Well, that's right.
Was that your plan B, or was it just like there was no plan B?
There really wasn't. Like, I've always sort of been a bit of a roll the dice kind of character.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know. A lot of times I rolled the dice for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know, but this time, I guess, and I say this a lot because I think it's true, I feel like your life doesn't make sense until you look at it backwards. And when I start looking at life up to this point backwards, I realise all the steps that had to be taken to get to this point, if that makes sense. Those experiences that you've had that at the time you didn't realise why, you know, because I think we know as humans everything's a lesson. We don't always know what the lesson is until later on.
The biggest thing that comes up for me, man, is exactly that, like just trusting, like letting go, trusting, because you know the old saying of just getting out of your own way. And I feel like when you do that, bro, you're just in flow. You know, like you coming over here, it was just flow. To just one foot in front of the other, and here you are, and it's one of the best decisions you made for yourself.
Yeah, it's weird too because there was no fear around it. Whereas everything else I've kind of dabbled in or tried to roll the dice on, I had a bit of fear attached to it. It didn't stop me, but I still, you know, like I feel like fear and excitement can be confused for one another as well. However, every time I made a decision prior to leaving my home and everyone that I love, you know, to come to the unknown, there's just nothing. I was not afraid of it. I was welcoming it, and I think because I welcomed it, everything's unfolded how it's.
So what's the way through fear, man? Because fear is what stops us from getting what it is that the universe has got to give it to us. Yeah. And that's my way of explaining 100%.
It. I think it's a reframing thing.
Yeah. Because money, man, can be used against you as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's a huge thing that always comes up for me, man. Like it's fear through money.
I think if we, as well, it's like if we're coming from a place of scarcity, then we're always in scarcity, you know. But if we're coming from a place of like almost obnoxious abundance feeling, you know, or not obnoxious, probably not the word, but a feeling of fake abundance almost, like, you know, I think we have to feel like we're already there.
So what do you do to get yourself in that situation? You know, like, I mean, I lost my job a week ago. I went straight into fear, you know, because I only just signed a new lease. And like, I've spoke to you about this, but, you know, and I was almost like, I've never really been employed before either, you know. So I was sort of putting all my eggs into one basket. I was all in on this job, you know, and, you know, it just didn't work out. And when we both decided that this wasn't right for me and for the company, that, you know, go ways, I've sort of victimized myself pretty quickly or automatically, you know, fuck, what am I going to do about rent? You know, just sign this lease, you know, and all the things start rushing through your head. My gym membership, fucking, and, you know, and you start going into fear. Oh, fuck, what am I going to do now? What's beyond this door, you know? And, you know, I said to myself, you know what, you got a long weekend, Australia weekend. Just sit with it, man. You don't need to make a decision right now. You got 3 days. Just sit with it. Be kind to yourself. Be still where you can be, you know, and try not to go too much in my head, which I'm a very overthinker. Yeah. So it's really hard for me to not overthink shit or go to a dark place, you know. And then, you know, before I knew it, by the 3rd days, I actually started feeling good. And a little bit like what you said, I was like, even though this is really hard for me to process right now, I know it's for me. Automatically, this sort of anxiety went to go away, and I sort of took the fear out of it, and I started looking at more like, fuck, my creative brain started working a little bit more because I wasn't worried about the job. And then, you know, and yeah, I, although I still haven't worked out what the direction is, I feel good about it. I've taken the fear out of it, and I'm feeling really optimistic about what's next, you know. But I'm interested to know, you know, because it's very important to try, and it's hard to navigate your way back to, you know, to get rid of the anxiety and the fear and that. It's extremely hard. But what would be some of the practices you do, bro, to fucking get yourself to that more that creative brain, man?
Yeah, interesting question. I think
that wasn't even a question I got for you.
That was a fucking good one. I think, yeah, I've never been asked that before, actually.
Yeah.
So,
well, like I saw on your socials this morning, man, and you said you're starting to do meditation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tool, but
it's definitely a tool. I think for me, I've just,
it's hard
because over the years I have come from places of scarcity, you know, and I have had to like really dig deep to try to find money to pay for things that are coming up in 2 days, you know, and and when I look back at those times, when I had to, I found it, you know what I mean, and I did it, and I always worried about money for a long time. It's only really the last kind of couple of years where I haven't really worried about it, and not because I have heaps of it, because I definitely don't, but I've got everything I need, you know, and so because I know I've got everything I need, and I've got people I need, or not even need, but want around me, or whatever else, it's just never at the forefront of my mind. So because of that, I've noticed that I've started to get more, for example, more clients, you know, so with more clients there's more money naturally anyway, you know, but I've come from a place where I'm not trying to do it for money, and then as a result I'm getting money, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure, bro.
And I'm like, it was the other day I was going through my finances, actually, just, you know, in terms of the business and such, and I was like, oh, you can't, I make actually quite a bit, you know. You know, I just didn't notice that because it's not my focus right now, you know. And I think because of that, I'm being rewarded from the universe. You know, I'm in my purpose, right? So everything, because I'm looking after my purpose, and I'm directing it at people, because I think if you look after people, then the universe looks after you.
For sure.
That's sort of how I feel.
I fucking love that, bro.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like it's almost like we only suffer for our own expectations.
Yeah.
You know, you could be earning $1,000 a week right now, and if I had asked you 10 weeks ago, you would have gone, fuck, I'm happy as with $1,000.
Yeah.
You earn $1,000 a week, and then all of a sudden your expectations go to $1,500, $2,000. You know, and it keeps going. And these expectations, that's what we suffer from. Bring those expectations down to what we've got now.
One of my favorite sayings is, or quotes rather, is it's often worse in your imagination than it is in reality.
True.
And I think that's just the case for humans in general, right? We fabricate stories in our heads before we even know what the answer is or what the outcome is. We've already made up a version of it in our minds, and then we'll get to the destination where we've either made it worse than what we imagined, or it's not, but we don't celebrate it when it's not. You know, we just go, oh, thank God. It's like, no, that it was never bad in the first place, you know. And it's like same as when, let's say you're in a relationship, right, and your partner's like, oh, I need to talk to you. And you're now all of a sudden your brain's going, fuck, what have I done? What is it? Is she going to break off me? This, that, whatever. And then she's like, so you've been worrying all day about this conversation that you're going to have with your partner, and then you finally get to her, and she's like, what color dress do you reckon I should buy for the fucking, for such and such's wedding? And you're just like, holy cunt, I've been, you know, I've just made up this whole big story in my head, and the reality of it was that it was literally nothing, you know. And that's I mean, that's a very broad statement, but like that's exactly kind of how our minds work.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a beautiful conversation, bro, because you're hearing more and more of it. The more you open up about this, everyone's fucking going through it. Well, what are we calling it? Like the monkey mind?
Definitely the monkey mind.
Overthinking.
Yeah. It's not even. It's just a dumb mind. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we can call it whatever we want, but at the end of the day, it's fucking stupid.
What do you feel about like we talk about the men's event that you came to, bro, and that was, like obviously Benny and a few other brothers out there doing good work, and we sort of thought we'd come together and put on a men's event, which we're going to do more this year as well through the starting line, and it's even things like that, bro, like that you have this offered to you, or anyone for that matter, and it takes a lot of balls to fucking go into this event that is going to benefit you, even if you know nothing about breath work or the fucking workshops that we were doing in there, or cacao, like what we were saying before. It's completely fucking, what do you call it, like left field or whatever. The monkey mind sitting there telling you, don't do that. You're better off going out on the piss. I don't know, or fucking,
who needs to talk about that anyway?
Lay in bed,
What's breathing going to do? I do that every day. So
is a little bit of curing this monkey mind of then going, nah, fuck you, I'm in charge.
Yes.
I'm going to go and do that and just see what fucking comes of it. I'm going to throw myself in there and be uncomfortable. Oh, you won't know anyone. You'll look like a fucking dick.
It's ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
Particularly in men. We can't channel our feelings immediately, right? So then we let our ego decide our choices for us, and a lot of times our ego is just completely off, right?
Doesn't serve us, hey?
No, it doesn't. And this is where like a good woman.
Let me just quickly explain. We've got a daycare going on. It's school holidays, and
you're all right, Henry.
Henry, do you want to come and say hello, mate? You want to come on camera and say hello? Yeah, come around here. We've got to see who this noisy monster is in the background.
Come say hi.
Come over here. You come and say hello to me on this.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name's Henry.
Hello, my name's Henry.
Yeah. This is the noisy fella in the background. Thanks, Henry.
Thanks, Henry.
You've been good, mate. Sorry, brother. But
that's good.
what are we? What were we talking about, bro?
There you go. What I was saying is this is why I think having good women around you is key, because as we know, men think logically, so we think logically through whatever it is, and women feel their way through things, and so to be around that more, it's especially from my point of view anyway. As you know, I mean they don't know, but as you know, most of my best friends are women. Yeah. It was basically just me and my mum for a long time as well, and so to be around strong women for majority of my life, and I guess most of my life even now, I spend more time with girls than I do, the boys, if you like. And I think everything I've learned, as you know, about being a good man has been from a woman, and it's probably because they've helped me lean into my feelings a little bit more than try to think my way through stuff, because every time I've thought my way through something, it hasn't worked out for me. I've let my ego sort of take control for most aspects of my life, and so when I really leaned into how women see the world, I was able to kind of find that balance between masculinity and femininity, and marry them together, and look at things from both sides, because you do need to still have logic, right? Logic helps you out of some situations also, but you need to be able to feel your way through things if you're dealing with people in particular, because we're all, spiritual beings at the end of the day, and I feel like a gateway to that spirituality of somebody else is to know how they feel, So learning about people's emotions, and then building on your own emotional intelligence as well. And you have to practice that. That's not something you just have, especially as men.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, bro. Just on the back of all of that, bro, like with, in relationships with women, I feel like they've got so much to teach us men, and we, again, our egos, we just need to get out of our own way with it and just sit and listen and understand and be open to, I guess, to hear. And like I know that I'm feeling you in a relationship as well, and man, and we spoke about this last week, bro, and I've been challenged hard with it, and it's all my own doing and all my own stuff coming up and stuff like that, and it's because it's for the first time in my life that I'm really open to listening and working through some of these things. But I guess, and then it gets into this question I've got for you is like, is a relationship meant to be hard? You know what I mean? Because I feel like when you go into a relationship, we have this understanding of like, fuck, it's all meant to be fairies and butterflies and beautiful conversations and fucking 4 times a day and and fucking her serving you fucking beer. I don't know. No,
like,
but you know what I mean? Like we have this fairy tale of it being all sweet. You know, you shouldn't be arguing or you shouldn't be challenged. You know, but I also sometimes on the flip side of that, I sort of feel like if she ain't challenging you, I don't know. Is that a relationship you want to be in, bro? You know, like it seems pretty comfortable. Or like, well, what's your thoughts around that, bro?
I thought about it a lot actually.
Yeah.
I think, and it's evolved for me over the years. You know, I've definitely had some hard relationships, and at the time, you know, I thought, man, fuck this bitch. You know, she's won't let me be me. You know, and these are all justifications for you being an asshole. You know. And on reflection, I look back at some of those times and I think, man, she wanted the best for me, actually. Maybe she didn't know how to communicate that better at the time, but, you know, we're all sort of learning at this stage anyway. But I didn't give her the benefit of the doubt in those times, you know. And I didn't have the emotional maturity to sort of just sit back and listen. Instead, I would react, you know, instead of just absorbing it in, letting her finish, actually listen, and then trying to come to a consensus together, you know, to work through it and whatever else. It was all me, and then from her point of view, it was all her, and, you know, at the end of the day, we didn't give each other the space and time to develop and build and whatnot. So I took that teaching into the next one, you know. If she's got a problem, just allow her to have the space to feel comfortable enough to come to you with that problem and you not bite her head off, you know, and sit with it and listen and internalize it a little bit better, then give her a response. So to answer your question, I think relationships are hard because you're constantly evolving through the relationship. It's about, you know, are you willing to evolve in the relationship, you know, and I think love languages are real important. Is what happens is we've got our love language, right? So we're trying to love them the way we want to be loved, whereas we should be trying to love them. We have to meet them at their love language.
Yeah, true.
You know, so what we think we're doing is loving. She's not receiving it like that because her love language is different to yours. So let's say mine's acts of service, right? And hers is touch, and I'm not touching her, but I'm doing all these things that I think I need to do to show her that I love her, right? And she's just like, man, he doesn't touch me though.
Yeah.
You know, so she's not seeing the acts of service at all, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to meet them at their love language, and that's hard because that's not natural for us.
Yeah.
Right?
And along the journey of a relationship, because what I'm picking up on, as long as you're growing together, and I think those challenges are going to come up because even if you're in a relationship or not, you're still going to have challenges being single, you know, if you're evolving and growing.
That's exactly
I just think a relationship, well, particularly with a healthy feminine, she's there to guide you in the right way.
Correct.
And it's up to us if we want to jump on board or not with it.
Yeah.
But it sort of leads me into the next question, bro, is like setting healthy boundaries too, bro. Because, you know, those relationships can sort of fold into doing a little bit too much maybe or losing yourself in it as well.
Yeah, and then I think that's where the distinction is. It's like, when do you know if it's toxic or not, you know? And I think integrity plays a big part in it as well. It's like if you've got all these rituals that you hold yourself to and these standards, and then you start to drop them because you're trying to portray yourself in a certain way to keep this woman or build on this relationship with her. So you stop doing all those things that you do to make you
all the healthy things
and to grow and such. Then I think that's an issue.
Yeah.
You know, I think you need to continue doing all those things that you do for yourself, rituals, you know, your trainings, your whatever. And I say this because when I've gone into new relationships, I've stopped doing things, you know, I've stopped meditating, I've stopped reading, I've stopped training, you know, so I can spend more time with her.
Sleeping, snuggles and fucking...
Whereas she liked you because of all those things, you know, and
true.
Not because you did those things, but because those things made you the person she likes, right? Yeah. And then you stop doing them, and then you stop being that person that she likes or loves or whatever, right? And then now you're toxic. So I think it's makes sense that you need to grow into the relationship as well. So you need to meet those challenges together and grow on them together. Because if you're doing that as an individual, then it seems ridiculous not to do it as a couple.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I sort of feel like, that's actually a really good point, the way you said that, man, because I think sometimes you can be a lot focused on, like you lose focus on self and more focused on the relationship in good intentions. Like you're all doing it in good intentions, but you're forgetting about yourself, man.
Yeah.
And
and it's one of those things where it's always a weird conversation to have with people. It's like, who's number one in your life? And if you don't say you, then there's something wrong there. And it sounds selfish, but the most selfish thing you can do is also the most selfless thing you can do, because a better you is a better you for everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's my belief, that if you look after you and you hold yourself to number one, then everyone after that gets the best version of you, not the fucking 10th best version of you. Yeah. 20th. Let's say you've put all these people in front of you, 10 people are ahead of you in terms of your, like, how you see your family hierarchy of your life, right? Yep. That means that all those people above you that you've placed get the 10th worst version of you. Yeah. And it's just like...
And it's hard to do as a modern day male.
It is.
Because like we have all these responsibilities and expectations and like we want to be a healthy masculine. So an act of service for us is generally at the top of the agenda or whatever, most days.
Yeah. And it's like, I think people maybe misunderstand what it is to put yourself first. It's like, does that mean I don't go to my kid's recital, or I don't go to my girlfriend's fucking engagement party with her best friend or some shit? Like, that's not what it is.
Or go to the pub with the boys.
Yeah. What it is making sure you do all the things that keep you healthy, keep you fresh, and keep you clear, so that you can give them all those moments. You can be the best version of you when you go to that recital. You can be the best version of you when you go with your missus to her best friend's engagement party.
True.
And by doing that, you're actually giving more love, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
loving this conversation, brother. I knew this was going to go good, eh? Feel like we're bonding, brother. Yeah. Hey, you want a question?
I would love a question.
All right, man. We can do this a few ways.
Yeah. Have you had a threesome? No.
Have you had a threesome?
I have, actually. Yeah. Like
2 guys or
3 guys. No. I just watched. No.
Hey, bro. That's fucking real, man. What did you think of it, bro? Have you been in a relationship, like a serious relationship?
Yeah.
Here we go, bro. This ain't all the questions either. Have you been in a serious relationship and had a threesome with her?
Yeah.
Have you ever had it with another guy rather than opposed to another girl?
No.
That'd be hard.
That would be hard. It's different, eh? I'll tell you what.
Fuck, we got a little
yeah. Henry's going to go home and he's going to be like, hey, Dad, what's the thing?
Let's keep it PG, bro. All right, so I've got 25 questions here. I can either pick one or you can pick a number, bro.
Well, my lucky number's 9.
9, all right.
It's probably going to be the most unlucky question now, eh?
9, all right. It's under family and relationships.
Here we go.
Oh, this is a good one. Number 9. What is something you wish you had have said to someone while they were still alive, or still here? Have you lost someone that's close to you, bro?
Yeah, man. Yeah. My dad.
I'm getting goosebumps, bro, even just now.
My dad, and I talk about him a fair bit, and I never used to, because it's, it was always a bit of a stab in the old heart, you know what I mean? But the more I spoke about him, the more I kept him alive, I feel like, so I love talking about him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's talk about him, bro.
Yeah. And I think I would have, I think about this a lot, actually. What would I have said to him? There's heaps of things I would have said to him. And a lot of times I do say them to him, But if he was still alive, I would love to have told him I loved him more, because I didn't, Yeah. And I was always very awkward about love growing up. I didn't really say it to my mom. I I didn't really say it to my grandparents or cousins or brother and sister or, you know, anyone really in my life. I was real weird about it, and I'm not sure why. Because now I'll just ring people randomly to tell them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know, man. I send, even just last week, even my sister said, like, Dave, you're getting sloppy in your old age. Because I just go around fucking telling everyone how much I love them, how much I appreciate them. Yeah, because I was sort of the same, bro. I was like, never really hugged anyone, you know, and now I'm fucking...
Now you're like, fucking,
Yeah,
come here, and I like, you know, even the brothers, you know, I'm fucking always touching these cunts, you know, and they're just, get off me, cunt. Like, you know, just pulling them in and grabbing them. And, you know, for an example as well as last night, we had my housemate's dad over for his birthday and his family and that, and, you know, sisters and such, and some of our friends come around, and Cameron is his name, shout out Cam. He come around, and as he was leaving, you know, we embrace it, and he goes, love you, brother. And I was like, fucking love you too, man. You know, like, you know, and Sundays as well, as I like to go through and sort of see who I haven't spoken to for a little while, and I'll send them a little quick voicemail and voice
Mine's
message.
like the part of my morning routine is to at least text one person.
Yeah.
Like showing them appreciation. And
Well, we
stuff
have
like
the means now, you know.
Yeah.
It's not hard to, like, it shouldn't be hard to sort of just send a quick message here and there, you know. Yeah. And it's when you do, people receive that really well, and you realize how much it means to people.
How good does it feel too, bro?
It does. And again, these are those things that's like, is it selfish to do because it makes you feel good?
Hey, bro,
but
when you're down
it makes
and out,
everybody feel good.
Bro, when I'm down and out, like we talked about last weekend with me losing the job and that, and you know, as soon as you go to gratitude and then showing it, like, you know, so straight away I went to all my friends and family, my auntie, give her a voice note as well. You probably got, no, did you not get one? No. Oh, we went out for a coffee, man.
Actually, you did message me.
Yeah, I did too, bro. Hey,
You said, hey, brother, just want to say you're really enjoying the classes. I appreciate you. And I was like,
bro.
fucking, this is the guy right here, you know?
Yeah, there you go, bro. And then, like, when I find that I'm just giving love out, when I'm feeling shit, like all of a sudden you're like, fuck, life is good, man. Like, look at these people who are God, and appreciate and go and get the, you know, like your class that you do down the gym, man, and like, you know, just show. And then all of a sudden you got no fucking problems. You're
I
like,
know. It's like the weight of the world just lifts a little bit. You know, I got a message from a friend of mine again, Macca, we call him the Maverick. Yeah. You know, and it's out of the blue, unprompted. Wasn't talking to him, you know, and he just sends out a message like, hey man, just want you to know that you're a real blessing to Perth, eh? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I teared up a little bit, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is, and it was kind of like getting these messages of affirmations as well. Like, you're on the path. Yeah. You know, your purpose is here. Like, it's almost reaffirming for me that I'm doing what I need to be doing. And because I often get, I guess, imposter syndrome, and when people sort of appreciate me, I guess. You know, because I still haven't quite accepted that I do have an impact, and it's hard, and it's sort of hard to say out loud that, you know, I'm impacting people's lives, because part of me that feels like why, you know, why do people appreciate me?
I want to go back to your dad, but before we go there, I want to, because one, it's easy to give gratitude or show like, hey bro, I enjoy your class. I forgot I'd done that, by the way. You know, but it is a good thing, but to receive it is another thing, isn't it, bro? You know what I mean? To receive it, like to hear it. I know that, like with a lot of close bros, that they'll, you know, like get gratitude text message all the time, but to actually sit with it and feel it is another thing. It's nice to hear it. You go, oh fuck, thanks, bro, but to actually feel it and go, fucking, you know, like, did you actually stop and go, fuck, man, like Dave has reached out and said, fucking, how good the class, you know, like really let it sink in. Yeah,
I actually did, man. I said to Ben, I was like, man, Dave sent me a really nice message about the class today, and you know, I feel good about it actually, you know. Yeah. And he said, yeah, well. And Ben says this all the time to me. He's like, look, you know, when are you going to start just realizing people appreciate you? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. Look, you know, I know. Yeah, I know, but it's still foreign to me, I think.
Is it something that the way, and I notice it a lot with Kiwis, and even me being brought up in New Zealand as well, like, I feel like, as you know, we're all about respecting the elders and like doing for other people, you know, like, and there's nothing wrong with respecting the elders. I love the Kiwi culture, and I love how we get brought up as children over there and stuff. But you know, you never really get brought up with like, take appreciation for yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or to love yourself. Yeah, you know, it's always serving.
Yep.
You know, serve or, well, you know, and I guess it's not just in New Zealand culture, it's in culture in general with kids. It's always good boy, no, don't do that. Or if you do this, you'll get praised or you'll get an A or a sticker or a fucking...
Yeah, we're constantly getting conditioned to like this reward sort of way of living. You know, you have to be a certain way to get a certain thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're always trying to seek validation in some ways. And that goes into adulthood and you don't even realize it, you know. And even for me, like to get appreciation and gratitude and things like that for what I do for people, it's like there's still that part of me that like is almost uncomfortable with
Is it self-worth,
validation? I think in part.
Is it like we feel like we don't deserve it?
Yeah. And there's definitely still a little bit of that in me.
Or it feels like maybe that fucking, who am I to be praised?
Yeah, it is. I'm like, look, I'm just a guy, you know. And because I chased validation for a long time, so now, for the wrong reasons, right? So I think there's sort of this trauma around that as well. It's like now I don't chase it because I don't feel like I need it, but people are doing it unprompted. Just because I'm being who I am, and so like it almost feels comfortable to get it just being myself, if that makes sense. Yeah.
If you truly didn't give a fuck about anyone else, what would you be doing different right now?
Fuck, it'd probably be
You'd have
dead.
no fucking you'd have no shirt on at the moment, eh?
I'd hate to know, to be honest. Yeah, I'd hate to know what I'd be doing if I didn't give a fuck. But no, it's it's in me, eh? I don't know if I could ever not care. You know, even when I was a bit of a fucking rat bag. You know?
So let's go back to your dad, bro. How old were you when you lost him?
I was 18.
Yeah.
I was 18.
How did he pass, bro? If you don't, you want to?
Yeah. He just. To be fair, we didn't even know he was about to.
Okay.
You know, he'd had a lot of health issues throughout his life. Anyway, he's ex-military. He worked at the prison. You know, he was a prison warden after the army. There was a big fire at Waikeria prison in New Zealand, and a riot and such, and he'd gone in to pull people out, and smoke got into his lungs, and that sort of started to affect his lungs and his heart, and over time he just sort of started to deter, you know. He used to work for the Waikato University as a Māori liaison, and throughout those years he was kind of, you know, a bit up and down, and then he stopped doing that and he was doing some security, and so I think he was always on the decline, and then he got told that he had about 2 years to live, right? He ended up living way longer. So it just sort of got to this point where I thought he was invincible, you know, and I just didn't think he was going to go ever. And I do hold regret a lot because I felt like I didn't really appreciate him as much. I was always like that kid that got dropped off at his dad's and then ring my mum to see when I could come home, you know, like I didn't just enjoy the time I had with him and stuff. And then I became a teenager, and then I remember all these times where, you know, after school, me and him were practicing my sport outside every day after school, and those are the things I appreciate about him the most. And then all of a sudden I'm moving out of home, and my parents weren't together, by the way, and but they were best friends still, you know, really cool. Great friends, and he lived in this little apartment, and we had our house and whatever, and I used to go and visit him and such, and I just felt like I didn't really give him like the best that I could have, you know. I was a teenager who thought he was too cool for his parents at this point, right?
How's that holding? I'm feeling a bit of guilt and shame there, brother. Hey? It's hard, eh?
It is.
You know, because I lost my mum too when I was younger, and you know, and I know there's nothing for it. I'm sure if your dad was here right now, he'd be like, you know, he'd be wanting to comfort you at times, but like, you know, like what?
Yeah, there is, you know.
Well, not guilt and shame, maybe, I don't know, like just a bit of disappointment. There's
definitely a bit of guilt and shame there, you know. Because I know how I felt in those moments as well, like, I just want to go home, you know, like, you know. And I remember the last time he hugged me and he said, "I'll see you soon." He never said that, right? And I remember thinking, as he hugged me and said that, I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I'll see you soon, you know. And then I left. My mum and my siblings were away that weekend as well. And my mum couldn't sleep that night. And, or 2 nights after, sorry. She couldn't sleep. She was pacing up and down the driveway. And I was rolling around in my bed at home. And I was just a bit off. And I couldn't figure out why. Didn't really understand why, because I was 18, you know, just living on my own. And then I finally fell asleep, right? And then the next morning I wake up to 8 missed calls from my mum, and then a text that finally said, your dad's passed. And then I immediately thought, this cunt knew. Like, you know, I was like, he fucking knew. Like, why else would he say it like that? You know, I'll see you soon. You know, that's just not how he would say goodbye to me. Yeah. And he squeeged me a bit longer, you know, and he was a bit more affectionate to my mum even saying goodbye. And he held my brother and sister a bit longer. It's like he knew this was it. Like, and he was doing all these things to in the lead up as well. Like, he was apologizing to people he felt like he wronged over the years of his life. He rekindled relationships with his kids before us, you know, my older brother and sister, step brother and sister. His family were Mormon, so he read the Book of Mormon. He thought religion was ridiculous, you know. He used to call my mum a witch because she's a medium, so he would make fun of her for, like, you know, spirituality and stuff. And then, but he started becoming a bit more spiritual, you know. And it was like he was righting all his wrongs. And then once he felt like he'd done that, he left. You know what I mean? I've
lost. Thanks for sharing all that, bro. I had goosebumps all the time through that. It's fucking. It's beautiful, bro. And like, I mean, it's sad, but, like, you know, it's beautiful that you share it, man, because it's, you know, I've lost quite a few real close people to me, man, and I agree with you, bro. Every single one. I'm just reflecting back on every one of them, and they all knew, really, man. And, like, I can remember all my last goodbyes to them, and that was sort of like that feeling of, like, it was a bit different. And looking back at it, it was like, fuck, you knew. You knew. And even my mum, bro, like, you know, I mean, that's the hardest one that still gets me emotional, you know, like my last words to her, you know, and I said, Mum, I'll see you in the morning. And she's like, oh, I love you, and I'll see you in the morning. But the way she said it was like, she knew.
It was like a goodbye.
It was a goodbye,
like a goodbye.
Like, she even grabbed me, bro. Like, I was sitting on the couch, and she'd even come up and she hugged me and put my head on her stomach and just hugged me. And, you know, you look back at it and, like, yeah, she knew. Yeah. She knew, man. And, you know, even the way she said goodbye and good night and everything like that, yeah. But, I mean, that was suicide. But I think even, you know, like my koro back in New Zealand as well, man. Like, I mean, he died of lung cancer, and I was, like, close. He was like my father, man. And when he died, I was about 12, and I was meant to go to this camp. It was called Kiwi Ranch, but back in New Zealand, and it's like this camp thing, and I was meant to go there, but I didn't want to leave his side because I knew he was sick, you know. And I was like, nah, fuck, I'm not going. And he knew that I was holding back. I didn't want to go there, even though all my mates were going and things like that. And he come and pulled me down, you know, and we sat on the end of the bed, and he's like, Dave, you go to your Kiwi Ranch, you know. He knew how much I wanted to go there, and he knew I wasn't going for that. And he goes, I'll still be here when you get back. And I looked at him, I said, you promise? And he goes, yeah, I will be. And then he died on that last day of Kiwi Ranch after 2 weeks of being there, bro. And I still believe he would have fought that whole time.
Hanging on.
Yeah, hanging in there. But I knew he knew that he was on his last legs as well, eh?
And that's it.
So I guess liven it up a little bit, but
back to threesomes.
Well, I'd have a threesome if I knew I was dying in that 2 weeks. Fucking hell. But you would live life a little bit different. I don't know. Like, would you, if you knew you had 2 weeks to go, would you? I mean, you'd go around and rekindle relationships, say sorry for fucking things you've done wrong in the past. Yeah. Read the Book of Mormon. To be honest,
in some ways, I've done that. Like, and not because I think I'm going to die soon, but I've done it because I've seen it, you know. And it's like, I don't want to wait till I'm about to die. Yeah. To let everybody know that I'm sorry, you know, or that I've tried to make things right, or be different, and not even so much into like I need to apologize to everybody that I've wronged. I think I can apologize to them subconsciously by just being better, and in some ways I think not even in some ways, I know I've played a role in why people are on their trajectories now, whether that was good or bad. It's still a lesson, isn't it? And I think as well as I don't want to get, because I think when we die, we're about to fucking kick the bucket, But the things that flash before you are all the great moments that you've had and the connections that you've made and the people that mean the most to you. That's what you see. It's not what you did or the bad shit you did or what you've bought or what you have in your possession. Like that's not it. So I think just by being on this road of like almost self-redemption is how you apologize to the world, or the world that you wronged, if you like, and I think I'm doing that, and there's of course there's people that I'd love to reach out to and have some dialogue there with and kind of break stuff down and right those wrongs, but I think that's probably more of a me thing, it's like that's not for them, that's for me,
Yeah,
and
I like that, bro, because it is, man. Like I mean, I look back at I've done some crazy, stupid shit in my life and lived a fucking real full life, man. And you can't change anything about the past. And a big way of me healing is to just show up for myself, because those around you will see that, like it's a good way of saying sorry, man. Of like just showing up in ways of bettering yourself, and because really, if anyone loves you, that's all they want to see in you.
That's exactly right.
Is just seeing you on a good path, and
I agree. So it's like you don't really owe people anything.
True.
You owe yourself, really.
Yeah.
If you're better, then you're contributing to the world in a good way, and that's all you can hope for at the end of the day. I'm appreciative now of all the bad things.
Yeah.
Because
man, I've had like the starting line, the gala we had, we had Jeffrey Morgan on here, and he was sitting here, and I think I asked him the question along the lines of do you have any regrets? And he's a guy who used to jump counters with shotguns and fucking point them at people's face, holding them up for money and stuff like that, and and he goes, no, I do look back. I look back and sort of go, fuck, I shouldn't have done it. But it's all he knew at the time, man,
Yeah.
And he said if they ever come up to me, he goes, sincerely apologise to him. He'd do anything to help him if they're suffering from trauma from or anything like that. And he's sorry, but you can't hold on to it, especially if you're on the journey of healing and growing. And
that's right. No matter how bad a person you thought you were, it just doesn't matter now. What matters is what you're doing going forward. If you're still that dickhead, then fucking sort yourself out, you know what I mean? But if you're not a dickhead anymore, then that's all you could hope for, right? And I feel like I'm not a dickhead anymore. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't believe what all the other people are saying either as well, man.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
All right, we'll wrap it up here and yeah, right. What do you got?
What's the hardest day of your life?
Hardest day of my life. Ooh, fuck, man. I've had some rock bottom days, bro. Oh, man. One that keeps repeating on me was when I buried my mum, bro, and had to get dirt and put it on the coffin.
Yeah.
I didn't cry when I lost my mum. I didn't cry at the funeral. I was in shock. I was pretty much out by myself, man. But yeah, that keeps reflecting on me. A lot of stuff that I've seen my children seeing me when I've just been fucking hectic. The hardest day of my life, man. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's been in those times where you felt like you just lost everything, man. The hardest days I have, I guess, probably are more like when we talk about we're in those rock bottom places, man. It seems like nothing's working. You're a failure. Like you lost your business, you lost your family. You're a fuck up yourself. Like your drugs and alcohol, and just thinking like everything you try isn't working and fucking you're just lost, you know, and those dark places of really not really understanding or seeing a way out.
Yeah.
Like it almost feels like you're in a dark room with a blindfold on, banging into fucking walls. And yeah, man, I'd say those darkest times have been, you know, thinking about taking your own life, man. I've been there a few times, bro. And yeah, man, like a failure as a father and all that. I'd say they're the darkest things I've gone through. But you know, if the actual physical thing that I've gone through is probably losing my mum, bro. Yeah. I'd have to say losing my koro as well. I'm like my grandfather as well. Like that was probably my first real wake up of like death. I fucking cried from like Wellington to Wanganui, which was a 3-hour drive, just non-stop, man. And like that was like heartbreaking, man. Yeah, that was my first time my heart broke, bro.
Yeah.
And actually, that's probably up there as one of the fucking hardest things I went through as a kid. Yeah, but I've been through heaps, bro. It's actually a really tough question, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, if you talk about hard things, like I know when I had to say a speech at the gala, bro, I was fucking packing myself with shit like that.
I can tell you because I was there. That fucked me right up when you were speaking. And because I felt like it was fully from the heart, you know. And I actually had to get up from my chair and walk down the other end of the because I was starting to tear up, you bastard, you know. And you know, you could feel it. You could feel it. I think the whole room could feel it.
Yeah.
So,
I always try and speak from the heart now, bro.
Yeah.
I've really tried to bring down the walls and just try and be authentic as I possibly can. Like when I lost everything, man, in some of those darkest moments, you know, and I knew always had the opportunity of like, what is it I was going to do next? Always been really good at business, not so good with money, but good, knew how to make it.
Like who is?
Yeah. You know, in relationships, and you know, I was 5 years single, and even just I knew I had to navigate through that to get a better relationship with myself, therefore to have a better relationship. And you know, I'm pretty authentic. Not saying I'm perfect in any way, but I had to get to that point where I knew I had to just take a look at myself.
Yeah.
Because nothing out there is the fucking problem. And anyone that's listening and hasn't got to this stage in their life, man, it's all fucking internal, man. It's all internal, bro. It's not your fucking missus. It ain't your friends.
Your reality is a great mirror.
Yeah.
You know, if you look around at what your life looks like, it's reflecting back at what you're putting out. So, you know, I think if you're going through hardships and you've got terrible relationships with people, and so you need this is the time to look at yourself. You know, what are you doing to contribute to those things, you know, and
you know,
taking
those steps,
taking responsibility, you know.
And sorry to interrupt there, bro, but like just going back to your question before of like your hardest things I've done, like some of the hardest things I've done was go down and doing ayahuasca, like plant-based medicine, man. Like I was packing fucking balls, bro. I was like, yeah, man, I can remember looking at ayahuasca and going, fuck, if this doesn't work, I don't know what will. I was in a really dark place, man, and you know, that was tough. Going into, stepping out in the uncomfortable of knowing that, fuck, I need to work on me, bro. Going, you know, like fucking done 10 months with no girls, no sex. You know,
in a way, right? The hardest things that you can do is face yourself.
Yeah.
Like that's the hardest.
Actually, that's probably the hardest
thing that anyone could do is like really taking a look at you. Yeah. You know, and feeling those things.
Not drinking, bro, when I gave up alcohol, man, and going to a festival like Wildland sober.
Yeah, right.
You know, like fucking, I had to do breath work leading into that. I took a little bit of MD, bro. But sober and drinking though, bro. Yeah.
Oh, Captain Authentic over here.
I like how Nate's just poked his head around the thing. Yeah. But honestly, man, like with that, and you know, I still look at that like as if it was a fucking achievement, man. Because like giving up alcohol for me, and if you knew me, tough, bro, right? It was tough, man. Alcohol has been my thing.
Correct.
You know, and one of my things, cocaine was another one. You know, all those sort of things, bro.
All the vices that you could think of, really. Hey, yeah, I can relate to that quite a bit. And to be fair, I still have a little bit of a rubber arm, but not for destructive reasons, you know. I
was going to wind it up. Let's just go there for a second, bro. So this is what I'm going through at the moment, man. Drinking, right? So gave up for a long period of time, then dabbled back into it. And, you know, a little bit of drugs here and there. But, like, my whole drug addiction's gone, man. But, you know, there's been times where I've been at a festival and I'll have a little bit of something like the MD. And, you know, because I felt like when I gave up alcohol, bro, like I was like, I needed to do it. I actually needed to do it. And it was one of the best things I done for myself because I just woke up and alcohol's never really been the same as what it was. Like now I understand it and have a different relationship with it. But over that period of time of being completely sober, and in that time I was also sober of drugs as well. Yeah. But then also then just going, but I fucking felt like I wasn't having fun or socializing, you know, and I felt like I was still missing out on that element. And then, yeah, just over the last, I guess, 8 months, I've been dabbling in it. Like I'll go down the pub and, you know, I have a few beers and never going crazy as what I used to or anything like that. So having a way better relationship with it, but then almost falling back into it like, oh, you've had a hard day, have a couple of beers, and you know these old patterns start coming back in, you know, and losing myself a little bit in it as well, bro. Like even with the relationship, if it was a little bit too hard, I'd feel like I want to have a drink to calm down. And then sometimes when you're hungover, you're a little bit more short and fucking. I just wasn't myself, so losing myself back through it. But then, so now not drinking again, you know, because I felt like I need to come back and get to this spot again.
Bit of realignment there.
But where is that balance, bro? Where's that balance for you? You know, and does everyone have it differently? Because I'm still a person that wants to go out and have fun. So this is my new thing I'm doing. I've set myself a few months of giving it up completely, but then there's something coming up like a festival, and I thought, fuck, that's going to be my go-to. Go and have some fun, have a good mindset about it. You know, you stay up till 4 in the morning and
you want to let your hair down from time to time, but not let yourself down.
Yeah. So what's you know, because I don't know if there is any right or wrong.
No, I don't think so. I think it's definitely case by case. Like I certainly feel like there's people that shouldn't be on it ever. You know, and it's potentially because they're not willing to do the work outside of those times to get to a point where they can enjoy a beer or two, you know, because alcohol definitely changes people, you know. For me, I think it's definitely situational still, you know, and it depends on where I'm at and what people I'm with. There's people that I wouldn't drink with because it would maybe take me back to a place that I don't like, right? And then in saying that, I'm around really great people now, right? And so I think for those reasons, I do feel comfortable to have drinks with these people, and I know that it's going to be in a really great sort of connection type of way. It's not to get plastered and bloody go gallivanting and chasing girls and stuff, because it's just not what we do, and it's not the people I'm around, and the energy's different, you know what I mean? So I'm happy to have 1 or 2 beers, whereas before it used to be like if I had one, you know, we're getting after it, you know, and I don't have those feelings anymore, and I don't know where the switch was or whatever the case may be, but maybe it's more of a secure feeling I have within myself that says I can have a drink now and not be fucking willy-nilly, you know. I think it's very environment based.
Also, like for me, I was always going to start on the 1st of February, but when I lost my job, I was like, nah, fuck, I'm going to do it now.
Drink?
No, so, you know, stop drinking.
Stop drinking.
Yeah. So
sure.
I stopped it earlier than what I thought, and I thought, no, this is a good opportunity now to actually fucking do it, you know. And if you're drinking because of, you know, trying to
mask things,
and stuff, you know, I think that's a big no.
Yeah, I think the questions that you need to ask yourself is why, right?
Yeah, true.
Why am I drinking? If it's because I'm with my friends who are celebrating their engagement or their birthday or whatever, then great, you know. Yeah. If it's I lost my job, it's probably not the energy you want to go into that.
And are you okay waking up the next day feeling like you're not going to go to the gym or fucking, you know, you're going to sit on the couch watching Netflix? And
that's a huge part of it. Is like, if you're going to do it, don't beat yourself up after as well, you know. And it's the same with anything that you put into your body. Like, I know people that will eat a burger and then the next day they're like, fuck, what a cunt, you know. And it's like, just accept the burger, man. You know, it's one burger and then get back after.
Because what's more toxic, the burger or the fucking thoughts you're putting in your head that you're
exactly right,
weak, you know?
The burger's doesn't stay in your body, you know, those thoughts can.
Yeah, true.
So just sharpen up, eh? You know what I mean?
Well, that was a good podcast, brother.
That was. I enjoyed it.
We'll end it there, but I know you're going to be on more and more, bro. I really enjoyed having you on here, man, and I appreciate you opening up and being fucking real. I feel like a lot of people are going to get a lot from that, bro. You are an amazing character, bro, in the community.
Thanks, bro.
I enjoy you, bro, and I know a lot of other people enjoy you. So yeah, thanks for being on here, bro, and I'll look forward to having you back on here soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, easy,
brother.
bro.
It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
I enjoy talking to you.
Yep.
And hopefully you can get to know your followers a little bit better. No.
Yeah.
Hey, _Coach Chaos. No.
Yeah. True. Where can people find you, bro?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me at Good Vibes Boxing in East Perth.
Yep.
If you don't live in Perth, you can follow the shenanigans, if you like, or the adventures of Coach Chaos at _Coach Chaos on Instagram.
Yep. Cool. Sweet as, brother.
Thanks, brother.
All right, my man.
Appreciate you.